Okay, in this lesson, we are going to be looking at Photoshop selections, and the tool that we're going to be using in this lesson is called the Quick Select tool. If you're doing a Photoshop assignment right now, there probably is a link somewhere that says something like for Photoshop shortcuts and selection help, click here. If you click there, what you'll see is there's a document that gives you some keyboard shortcuts for Photoshop, as well as gives you some advice and some ways of using the different selection tools. So you can see here we're going to be using Quick Select. It also tells you what each is best for. Okay, so it says that the Quick Select tool is best for when the area to select has contrast with the area you don't want to select. And we'll see that soon here as well, okay? Another thing you might see is that there might be some YouTube tutorials on the assignment you're currently working on as well. So in Photoshop, first of all, what I'd suggest is at the top here, you can see there's a whole bunch of tabs. Okay, and that's what, when you're working on selections, it's easier to have each image that you like to select as different tabs. Okay, and in order to do that, there's two ways of bringing in images. One is dragging them in from your File Explorer. The problem with doing that, so if you drag in from your File Explorer, what happens is you get a layer on top of a layer. Okay, you don't get different tabs at the top. You just bring in an image as a layer on top of another image, which can be useful in many, many cases. If you want separate tabs, what you need to do is go to File and Open. So that's the way that you go about doing that. Okay, and then you can open up your File Explorer and open the images and you'll have separate tabs. So the Quick Select tool that we're going to be using now, first thing you need to know is it is bundled here with the Object Selection tool as well as the Magic Wand. Okay, and here's the Quick Selection tool. So the Quick Selection tool has two modes. It has the adding mode, which you can see up here. You either have add to a selection or subtract from a selection. Now you want to use this tool when what you want to select has contrast with what you don't want to select. So selecting the strawberry, because the background doesn't really have similar colors and it's quite distinctly different, her hand is distinctly different from the strawberry, the Quick Select tool should work. Another instant where the Quick Select tool can work quite well is something like this, where we've got a background that's got a gradient blue and we've got a watermelon, if I just want to select the watermelon, okay? And another option is if I want to use like something here with Frodo, you'll notice that down by his feet, it's not all one color, but it's distinctly different from what Frodo is, okay? So the Quick Select tool, a couple of keyboard shortcuts that you need to be aware of as we're working through this. One is zoom. To zoom, you hold down Alt and you scroll your middle mouse. Another is pan to pan, or just grab your screen. You hold the space bar and you can actually move. That can be helpful in a lot of cases. Other keyboard shortcuts are the two keys beside the letter P. So you'll notice that my tool right now is getting larger or smaller. So the two sets of brackets beside the letter P allow you to make your tool smaller or larger. And we'll come up with other keyboard shortcuts as they are necessary, okay? So let's say I want to select the strawberry. So I'm on my Quick Selection tool. Right now I'm going to add to my selection, which means I'm going to select the strawberry. And I might start doing that down here. You can see the size of my tool's decently large, and I'm just clicking. So it's kind of filling in. It's finding those edges from the inside out of the strawberry. So it basically selected the red part of the strawberry quite well here. And the stem might be a little bit more difficult. So what I'm going to do with the stem is actually zoom in and maybe make my tool a little bit smaller. So if I make it smaller, I can kind of start clicking and selecting the actual leaves here. And you can see it's done quite a good job. If you want to get this little leaf here, you might be able to do that. And in some cases, it does a bad job, which actually gets me to my next point. So right here, if you want to subtract that, you might be able to go to the subtraction tool and subtract that area back. So there we go. Okay, so that's done a decent job. Okay, so that's the Quick Select tool. I'm just going to show you a couple more things that you can do with the Quick Select tool. And there we go. So if that's the object that I want, I can press Control C, which is copy. So I'm going to copy it, and then I can go to whatever my project is. Maybe it's something else that you'd like to select, and I can paste it. I'm just going to delete this guy here. I can paste it onto that plate. So there we go. Okay, and you can resize it by using the Move tool. I mentioned if you're using the Move tool, what you want to do is ensure that the Move tool, that your transform controls are turned on. Another way to think about the Quick Select tool is to subtract what you don't want and then to select the object you want. So if we look at Frodo here, instead of selecting Frodo, what I'm going to do is select the white gray space around him and delete it. Now in order to do that, you might have to unlock the layer. So I'm going to click on this little lock here, and then I'm going to pull up my Quick Select tool, and I'm going to select the outside of Frodo. You can see this is going pretty well. It finds those edges naturally because the background's quite distinctly different from Frodo. And if I press delete, it deletes the background. You can see that gray and white checkerboard. What you need to do next in order to actually select Frodo is to use your marquee selection tool. So this guy right here, second one down, and just draw a box that contains, whoops, you might have to press Control D to deselect, but draw a box around Frodo. So it's selecting all the pixels in there. A lot of them are transparent, and now I can copy and go to the plate and paste Frodo onto my plate. Okay, and you can see he's been selected quite well. So that's your Quick Selection tool. The two ways that you can use it are to fill in and select what you want and to copy that. The alternative is to select what you don't want and delete it, and then drag the marquee tool over what you do want. And then if you ever want to clean it up, you always can. So I could theoretically now go in between Frodo's hairs here and start pulling out my eraser tool and erasing those little bits that are in between his hair. Again, it depends how precise you want to be, but you can see here, I can just erase those white parts in his hair. Okay, that is it.